Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Before we dive into today's breaking news about the new $3,000 stimulus bill, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any crucial updates about your stimulus payments and benefits. Now, let's get into this game-changing announcement that's going to affect millions of Americans. Breaking news has just emerged from Capitol Hill as Congress has finally approved a new $3,000 stimulus package, bringing much-needed relief to Americans, especially Social Security and SSDI recipients. You might be wondering, when will I receive my payment? And do I qualify for this new stimulus? Don't worry, I'm going to break down everything you need to know about this latest development. The IRS has just released official information about the deposit dates for Social Security and SSDI recipients, with payments scheduled to begin rolling out in December 2024 and continuing through January 2025. This new stimulus package comes at a crucial time when many Americans are still struggling with inflation and rising living costs. But what makes this stimulus different from previous ones, and why is it specifically targeting Social Security and SSDI recipients? Let's first address the eligibility criteria that you need to know about. Unlike previous stimulus payments, this new $3,000 package has been specifically designed to provide additional support to those who rely on Social Security benefits, SSDI, and other federal assistance programs. The government has recognized that these individuals have been particularly vulnerable to economic hardships, and this targeted approach aims to provide more substantial support where it's needed most. One of the most common questions I'm receiving is about income limits. According to the newly approved bill, single filers who earn less than $75,000 annually will receive the full $3,000 payment. For married couples filing jointly, the threshold is set at $150,000. But here's something important you need to know: if you're receiving Social Security or SSDI benefits, these payments won't affect your regular monthly benefits or count as income for other federal assistance programs. Isn't that a relief? Now, let's talk about the distribution timeline, which is probably what most of you are most interested in. The IRS has announced a systematic rollout plan to ensure smooth distribution of payments. Social Security recipients will start seeing deposits hit their accounts beginning December 15, 2024. For SSDI recipients, the first wave of payments will begin on December 22, 2024. But what if you don't receive your payment in December? Don't panic, the distribution will continue through January 2025, with the final payments scheduled to be completed by January 31, 2025. Here's something crucial you need to understand about the payment schedule: the IRS will be using the last two digits of your Social Security number to determine when you'll receive your payment. For example, if your Social Security number ends in 020, you'll be in the first wave of payments in December. Numbers ending in 2140 will be in the second wave, and so on. But what happens if you've moved or changed banks since your last stimulus payment? If you need to update your information, the IRS has reopened their online portal where you can verify and update your direct deposit information. You might be asking, what if I don't have internet access or need help updating my information? Don't worry, the IRS has also set up a dedicated phone line to assist with these updates, and I'll share that number with you in just a moment. One aspect of this stimulus that's different from previous payments is the addition of a supplemental payment for dependents. If you have eligible dependents, you could receive an additional $500 per dependent. But here's the catch: these dependent payments will be distributed separately from the main stimulus payment, with dependent payments scheduled to begin in January 2025. How many dependents can you claim? The bill allows for up to 3 dependents per household, potentially increasing your total stimulus amount to $4,500. Many of you have been asking about the tax implications of this new stimulus payment. Good news: just like previous stimulus payments, this $3,000 payment will not be taxable income. You won't need to report it on your 2024 or 2025 tax returns. However, you should keep any documentation you receive about the payment for your records. Speaking of documentation, what should you do if you don't receive a payment when you believe you're eligible? The IRS has implemented a new tracking system specifically for this stimulus payment. Starting December 1, 2024, you'll be able to check your payment status through the Get My Payment tool on the IRS website, But what if the tool shows no information about your payment? In that case, you'll need to contact the IRS directly through their stimulus helpline, which will be operational 24/7 starting November 15, 2024. Let's talk about some special considerations for certain groups. If you're a recent Social Security or SSDI recipient who started receiving benefits in 2024, you might be wondering if you qualify. The good news is that as long as you were receiving benefits by October 31, 2024, you'll be eligible for this stimulus payment. But what about those who receive SSI or VA benefits? Don't worry, you're included too, but your payment schedule might be slightly different. Here's something important that many people overlook: if you have unpaid federal or state debts, this stimulus payment cannot be garnished. This protection was specifically included in the bill to ensure that those who need the money most will receive it in full. However, there is one exception: if you owe child support, your payment may be reduced or withheld entirely. For those of you who receive your regular Social Security or SSDI payments through direct express cards, you'll automatically receive your stimulus payment the same way. But what if you prefer to receive a paper check? You can change your payment preference through the IRS portal, but be aware that paper checks will be sent out after all direct deposits are completed, which could delay your payment by several weeks. Another important aspect of this stimulus package is the inclusion of retroactive payments for certain recipients. If you can prove that you experienced significant hardship due to COVID-19 or its economic aftermath between January 2023 and December 2024, you might be eligible for additional retroactive payments. But how do you prove this hardship, and what documentation will you need? The IRS will be releasing detailed guidelines about the hardship qualification process in November 2024. This will include a list of acceptable documentation and the procedure for submitting hardship claims. The retroactive payments could add up to an additional $1,000, bringing the total possible stimulus amount to $4,000 for eligible individuals. Let's address another common concern: what happens if you're currently receiving benefits but are under review or due for a continuing disability review? The good news is that your stimulus payment won't be affected by ongoing reviews. However, if your benefits are suspended for any reason before the payment is issued, you may need to contact the Social Security Administration to ensure you still receive your stimulus. For those of you who help manage finances for a Social Security or SSDI recipient as a representative payee, you might be wondering about your role in this process. The stimulus payment will be sent to the same account where benefits are currently deposited, but as a representative payee, you'll need to ensure the funds are used in the beneficiary's best interest and keep records of how the money is spent. Here's an interesting development that hasn't been widely reported: the bill includes a provision for expedited payments to individuals over 75 years old. If you fall into this age category, you might receive your payment even earlier than the scheduled dates. Why was this provision included? The government recognized that older Americans often have more immediate financial needs and wanted to ensure they received their payments as quickly as possible. Many of you have asked about the possibility of additional stimulus payments in the future. While this $3,000 payment is currently a one-time payment, the bill includes a provision for potential additional payments if certain economic indicators show continued hardship in 2025. What are these indicators, and how likely is it that we'll see more stimulus payments? The economic indicators include the national unemployment rate, inflation rates, and the overall state of the economy. If unemployment rises above 6% or inflation continues to exceed 4% annually, it could trigger additional stimulus payments. However, these would require separate congressional approval and wouldn't be automatic. For those of you who are dual eligible for Medicare and Medicaid, you might be wondering how this stimulus payment affects your eligibility for these programs. Rest assured, this payment will not count as income for determining your eligibility for any federal benefits programs. But what about state-based benefits? Each state has different rules, so you'll want to check with your local benefits office. The bill also includes special provisions for people who live in U.S. territories like Puerto Rico, Guam, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. If you're a Social Security or SSDI recipient living in these areas, you'll receive your payment, but the distribution might be handled by your territorial government rather than directly by the IRS. How will this affect your payment timeline? Recipients in U.S. territories can expect their payments to begin arriving in late December 2024, with most payments completed by the end of January 2025. The territorial governments will be working directly with the U.S. Treasury to ensure smooth distribution of payments to all eligible recipients. Let's talk about some potential challenges that might arise during the distribution process. What happens if your payment is sent to the wrong account? Or what if you receive more or less than you're entitled to? The IRS has established a dedicated resolution center to handle these issues, but it's important to report any discrepancies as soon as you notice them. For those of you who have recently moved or changed banks, here's what you need to do right now. First, ensure your address is updated with the Social Security Administration. Second, if you've changed banks, update your direct deposit information through the IRS portal as soon as it opens. But what if you missed the deadline for updates? Don't worry, there will be a process for claiming missing payments on your 2025 tax return. Some of you might be wondering about the impact of this stimulus payment on other financial obligations. Will it affect your ability to qualify for loans or other financial assistance? The good news is that lenders are not allowed to consider this stimulus payment when evaluating loan applications or determining creditworthiness. But what about its impact on bankruptcy proceedings? If you're currently in bankruptcy or considering filing for bankruptcy, you'll be relieved to know that this stimulus payment is protected. The bill specifically excludes these payments from being considered as available assets in bankruptcy proceedings. This protection ensures that those in financial distress can use the full amount of their stimulus for essential needs. Here's something else to consider. If you're currently receiving payments through a Social Security Administration payment plan for previous overpayments, will this affect your stimulus? The answer is no, your stimulus payment cannot be reduced to pay back any Social Security overpayments. Isn't it reassuring to know that you'll receive the full amount regardless of any existing repayment arrangements? For those of you who help elderly or disabled family members manage their finances, you might be wondering about the best ways to use this stimulus payment. While the decision ultimately rests with the beneficiary or their legal representative, it's worth considering using these funds for essential needs, medical expenses, or creating an emergency fund. But what are the guidelines for representative payees regarding the use of these funds? The Social Security Administration will be issuing specific guidance for representative payees, including documentation requirements and approved uses for the stimulus funds. This guidance will help ensure that the money is used appropriately while maintaining the beneficiary's autonomy in financial decisions. As we wrap up this detailed overview of the new stimulus bill, remember that staying informed is crucial. The situation may continue to evolve, and there might be updates or changes to the distribution schedule. How can you stay up to date with the latest information? Make sure to subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. I'll be providing regular updates as new information becomes available. Before you go, let me remind you of the key dates. December 15, 2024, is when the first wave of payments begins for Social Security recipients, followed by SSDI payments starting December 22, 2024. Mark these dates on your calendar and keep an eye on your bank account. And remember, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and notification bell to stay informed about any updates or changes to this stimulus package. That's all for today's video. If you found this information helpful, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with anyone who might benefit from this information. Drop your questions in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them in future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next update.